slides to go, so I will start my lecture just addressing my chief guest, Vice Chancellor, University Fellows. My presentation is actually part of the continuity of the previous lecture, which was Mr. Rab Nawaz. He talked about the water related to biodiversity in Pakistan. That is one of the issues which we are lacking in terms of addressing accordingly as the rest of the world is doing. I came from Canada, which is the country which has the most fresh water in the world. 17% of the fresh water is in Canada. But what I see over there, people are more worried about the quality and quantity of the water than what we do here. So, and there is a buzzword, climate change. Nowadays, everybody talks about it. What my presentation would be, I'll just zip through the slides because of the lack of time, and I'll try to save some time for the question and answer. That is it really a climate change what we are facing? Or it's just natural process, it's man-made, and whatever it is, we are on the either side of the road. Climate change or no climate change, what we can do with it, please. This is the way we start every day, every night rather. We sit in front of the TV, and whatever we listen, we talk around the corner or next day. And the same thing is with the climate change. Let's see what climate change means around the world. In Bangladesh, most of the time it's monsoon. And the irony is, when they need water, when the crop matures, they don't have it. They have drought most of the time. And then we go to Zimbabwe. Over there it's drought. First of all, there is no rain. When it rains, your soil is very hard. Your water runs off, you don't get anything. Please. We go to UK. We have frequent floods in last few years. And relatively they have warmer summers. We go to Peru. They have both. They have cold side, South American type. They have some colder regions getting warm and some warmer regions getting cold. USA, can't miss it, Katrina. Oh, no, not that Katrina. So, so many people perished. And there was just, and it was magnified a lot, but it was a technical issue which created this havoc. One of the levees, which was supposed to be strong enough, didn't work out properly because of lack of funding. And this is what we got. Let's talk about glaciers. Because when we talk about climate change, we get benefit of glaciers now, and it's on daily basis. The water we get, 60% of this water comes out of glaciers. And you see how it is changing. Just a span of 10, 20, 30 years. Please. Okay, so again we are back to square one. Some people think at this point, after all these slides, okay, there is a climate change. The other guy, just like me, still thinks, okay, is it real? Is it really climate change or something else? Or it's cyclic? And climate change, as we just had a quick trip around the globe, and we see it is very different from different places. So first of all, what I think we should think locally, what is happening with us? When it started, like 20 years back, it has become very, very common. And most of the time it is on the forum, it's a political statement. I have put two only. And there are so many of them. You read and listen every day. So before we get into it, because I'm going to talk mostly about the water because that's my area, I want you to give just a brief description. What is it exactly? What is weather? It's just a condition of a specific time or a specific area. If it becomes persistent for more than 20 or 30 years, it becomes climate. And when there is a change, we say it's climate change. So there are two ways. There are always two schools of thoughts. One says natural, one says anthropogenic. For natural, the one on the left side, the circle shows the natural cyclic thing, and it is basically instigated by the man-made effect. So all over, overall, what we see is there are so many blips, but it's important to understand about these blips. The first thing, when I grew up, I started this thing, greenhouse effect, whatever it is. So when we realized what is it exactly, it is just the heat trapping phenomena, right? Some of the unwanted heat, that's what people think, has been trapped, which is hurting our earth. But what is it exactly? What if we never had a greenhouse effect? So the temperature of this planet would be minus 18. Right now it's 15 that we can live. So there is something wrong somewhere along the line. Okay, so what it does with our life. These are the 4 or 5 things I have put about the glacier, about warm weather, sea level rise, and frequency of flood and droughts. When these things happen, this is what we get end of the day. Our air is polluted. Somewhere we have more water, somewhere we have less water. Sometimes we blame it as drought, sometimes we blame it that, oh, we have too much of rain. And then decrease in crop yield. It's not true everywhere. The decrease in crop yield we have seen during the last 20 years, many places have increased the crop yield just because they had more water. And loss of biodiversity, I really don't want to touch it, you already had enough. And let's go to the next one. So what people did, what people started doing it to just overcome these issues. Throughout the world, starting from the North America all the way up to Australia, people started research on it. And in Southeast Asia, all the sister countries, whatever we have, started working on it. In Pakistan, go to the next slide, please. Oh, okay, so this is one of the things what I did in Canada. This is the data what I collected for the province, and the name of the province is Ontario. I collected 60 years of data and tried to play with it with the frost-free days. Frost-free days means when the temperature of that area is above 0. What I found, that out of those 60 years, I developed a model and tried to project what would happen in next 50 years to frost-free days and what actually happened in last 100 years. This is the curve I got. This all shows that we are heading towards a warmer world. And in Canada, everybody thinks about coal. What happened end of this 2010, we calculated how many growing days we got. in a crop season. We got 26 extra days in Canada for growing season. And that would definitely, and this curve definitely supported those days. Please. Okay, coming back to Pakistan, there are EPA started in 97, and then definitely SC worked a lot on it. Please. How vulnerable we are, that is I think the question of the day. If there is a climate change, it always starts whatever we have. Whatever we have is not very convincing at this point because the way it is managed. Our economy, based on agriculture, definitely it's one of the direct effectees of climate change. Please go back. Scientific and technical knowledge, as my previous speaker said, that we need to work on it. Adaptability and institutional issues. Well, no. Further. Okay. So what we experience so far as a just citizen of this country, day and night, we got some increased monsoon or late monsoon, that's what I call. Shortage of irrigation water. Before I forget, I mentioned 50% of the irrigation water what we serve from the source to the area, targeted area, we lose 50%. Okay. Definitely we are facing some problem in industry in terms of water. And if we have this increased risk of floods and drought, what is going to happen? That is the question related to water, what I think all the time. So what should we do? There are two schools of thoughts. We sit one of the side of the road and say, okay, we blame nature or we blame human, and that's it. Or we try to, that's the punchline of this slide, that we try to understand what is going on around us. What is the reason? So basically we connect the dots. Whatever is happening, how it is affecting us. Definitely it's important how it is affecting North Pole, but it's more important how it's affecting in my backyard. And then definitely act locally first and then globally if we can. Let's start with glaciers, because all of our water actually starts from there. The amount you see in the first bullet is 22 million acre-feet of fresh water in those glaciers, Himalayas Empire. And 60% of that flow what we get in Indus is through those glaciers. The second bullet says that we have whatever glaciers we have, it's going to deplete in 2035. It means we're not going to have enough flow in Indus. This study was done in 1999, you can see, and 2006. The third bullet says, in fact, the glaciers are expanding in north. So we are having more area of glaciers than it was before. So looking at this literature, for me it's a conflicting statements. I don't know which way should I go. Okay, so just a quick picture how much water we have. Whatever we have, 97% we cannot use. It's saline water. The only 3% which we can use. Out of 3%, 2% is glacier. 1% left. It's all river, lakes, anywhere in the world is 1%. And we have very, very minute amount. We are nowhere, whatever, if we go to the percentage. So we'll talk about sea level rise. Please keep this picture in mind and then we can talk about it, please. Okay, first thing, water, we know is flood or drought, but we have been recently hit by 2 floods, so we talk about flood. I picked some statistics through the literature. So what I found, we have 23 major floods since independence, the major I'm talking, and 9 in the last 20 years. This is the map. You already saw this one in the previous slide, but what I want to show, starting from up north, this is the blue line, which is the Indus, coming all the way from north to Kotri and to Arabian Sea. This is the main culprit, what we think is all the flood what we had. We have a few structures on it, 3 reservoirs and few dams on it. Here is a slide which shows the flow at Skardu. Yes, it's at Skardu from 1923 to 1995. You can see the cyclic nature of the flow. Some years it is down, some years it is up. It's still happening the same way. There are few blips, there are few outliers, just like 2010 and 1956. Let's talk about those floods. Before getting into that, I'll give you just one slide which shows the scientific side of these floods. Floods are nothing new to hydrologists and not to common people either. It has been happening since the creation of Earth. So the water scientists, they have divided it into different recurrence intervals. You see in the bottom side, there is a cluster of events that starts from 1 or 2 years flood and goes all the way up to 100 years flood. The last 2 bullets, we haven't seen 100 years flood yet in Pakistan. Yes, we have seen the 50-year one, which was 2010 and 1956. Please. This is the flood and some of the statistics I could gather in this short time. The amount of water which passed through Kotri in 1956 and 2010 is similar, 900,000 cusics plus 9. One is 920, one is 938 or something, but it is 900,000 cusics plus. Now think about the scenario. 1956, we didn't have this much population, we didn't have this much urbanization, we didn't have so many structures, hydraulic structures I'm talking, dams, reservoirs, all that. We had only 3. Guddu, Sakkar and Kotri. Okay? And what do you think, which flood was bigger, 56 or 2010? Any idea? 56? I also favor 56. The reason is, a lot of water which came down through precipitation during 56 infiltrated rather than getting into the field. And then it came to the river. So, and right now in 2010, most of the water, as soon as it came down, we are living right next to the river. All the water came into the river. I'm sorry, I don't have the precipitation data. I'm still working on it. Next week I'm again going to Kotri to bring 1956 precipitation data. Just to understand which flood is bigger. And you see how many people perished. Only 200 something in 1956 and 2000 plus in 2010. Look at how many people affected. 20 million in 2010 and 1956 only 10,000. Please. Let's go back to 2011 plan, very recent history. What is happening here? This is July, everything is calmed down, nothing special going on in lower Sindh. You see, the historic average amount for July is lot higher than what we got in 2011. It's a lot less. You can see the red one is the current one, the blue is the historic one. Go to the next one for August, things changed. We had a lot of rain. Go to September. Look at Navaksha, 750 millimeter. So it's just a matter of a couple of events and things changed. Okay, let's talk about temperature of this city. We analyzed this data here at NED for 30 years. What we got, an increasing trend of Karachi temperature. And the temperature was around, the average was around 0.4 centigrade per decade. So it looks like there is some change in temperature, and I agree. Let's go to the next. Here is Hyderabad. Most of the temperature, Hyderabad is going down. You see all those negative slopes? So, if climate change is a buzzword, does it apply everywhere equally? No. You can see that. It's 150 kilometers away. And things are different. So what brought this temperature up? For me, it's urbanization. For Karachi temperature. Let's talk about minimum temperature of north. People say it's increasing. Definitely for some station it is. Look at Kabul. It's decreasing. And we are talking about 1953 to 1995. So again, it's local. Go further, please. Okay, let's talk about temperature. Karachi, Hyderabad, Badin. Hyderabad is always warmer. Right? Karachi is always down, and Badin as well. Very close to sea, we get effect of it. Precipitation. Badin is always having higher precipitation. And Karachi, definitely it is always less for whatever reason. I'm trying to zip through the slide because I want to get to the end of the message. Okay, just please go back to Karachi. This is the sea surface temperature, which was done by Tariq 2008. This paper says that it's cyclic. You can see it's sinusoidal. It's going up, coming down. Go to next, please. I'm also a member of one of the climate groups in the world, internationally connected to each other. I get every month updated data from them throughout the world. This is the one I got the day before yesterday. They have tried to analyze 1979 to 2001 up to November data. And this is what they see, the anomalies in temperature. It is about the air temperature. You see, it's a bit of increasing side. Go to the next, please. Okay, the next one is about the sea surface temperature, which we are worried about. It's also a little bit cyclic, but still uppish trend. Go to the next, please. Okay, now we talk about the sea level, because we blame glaciers that it is filling up our sea, right? And it shows a bit of increase. This is for Karachi. I picked up from one of the research papers, and I have given the reference from 1860 to 2000, 1988 in fact. They have also shown an increase in sea level. It's hard to read, but at least you can see that the top left temperature is the maximum temperature, and it has an increasing trend, and this is for Karachi, which we analyzed here at NED. For minimum temperature, again, we have similar trend. Look at the precipitation for July, August, and September. Those are the months what we are worried of for monsoon. So you can see it's a cyclic thing. From 1981, it goes up, comes down, goes up, comes down. That's what's happening for all three stations. Okay, So enough about the climate change, what we have just talked about. Okay, what is the existing situation, where we stand? We have all these issues, urbanization, industrialization. So what is happening? Depletion of water resources, for sure. Deterioration of water quality, that's also. And one of the things my fellow speaker mentioned about the Bhas colony thing, if we could use that byproduct of that thing, we can save a lot of water which is deteriorating every single day, every single minute. Okay, and again, it's a poor management, but that we are not able to do it. Plus, this climate change, this buzzword hitting on us. And that is going to aggravate the situation what we just talked about. If there is whatever change, it's minimum one, but it's going to be hurting us more than if we could manage it accordingly. Okay, and it's going to be a lot of erosion, waterlogging, intrusion of seawater, definitely, because the water level is going down. Okay, what we need to do? First of all, it's my belief, and I think everybody would be with me on it. If we spend some money before the crisis, we can save a lot of lives, and we can save a lot of money as well. You have seen these two earthquakes. I'm not sure that we could have avoided, but at least for water storage and water management, we could have done it for 2010 and 2011, and we could have saved a lot of lives and money, which we spent eventually anyways. Okay, so so first of all, we need to make aware all of you, and including myself, that what is going on around us. And we need to know about whatever the extreme scenario, what we are supposed to do. We should have definitely proper flood control management. And some of the structures we already have. How much left? Okay, just go through the next one, please. Okay, what NED is doing here? This is what we have planned, and we are already working on it. We are trying to develop a database where we can model all this what we just talked about. We can model the precipitation for future and existing, whatever we have, and past. And we can model, as the other speaker mentioned about the watershed management, we should know how much water is coming towards river after the land use changed, and land use changed drastically in years. Okay. What else? Definitely this is going to help us evaluating the quality of the water and quantity of water for our water resources. Okay, for instance, climate or no climate change, all of these, including rising sea level, we need to first understand it, how and what practice is actually taking us towards this destruction, if there is any. Go to the next one. Just a couple of slides, please. I have some disagreement with the research papers I have read in last few days. And I want to mention some of them here. And with all due respect, I have a lot of respect, but this is what I couldn't understand, so I thought it's good to share. Carmen et al., they mentioned that all this climate change thing is already hitting Pakistan. So far it's okay, I can live with it. But when they related the fight against violent Islamic groups, ethnic strife in Karachi, and Baloch separatist thing, this is what I disagree, because as far as I know, it has been here in this city or in this country for more than 20-30 years altogether. Another researcher, Mr. Kazmi, he related the groundwater depletion in Karachi to climate change. So suddenly I looked at the precipitation and temperature data, it did not change. So what changed? For me it is urbanization or population, whatever you call it. But it is not climate change, which took water all the way to 200 feet from 40 feet. It is the consumption. Okay, the other buzzword is sea level increase. Okay, Are we dumping enough water in the sea? I have shown you that flow data. It is as usual as ever, at least for Arabian Sea. Some researchers say that it's thermal expansion. Thermal expansion is always dependent on temperature. So temperature is up, evaporation is up. Evaporation is up, we lose water. So is it a mass balance? Or none of the phenomenon is correct? I don't know. Okay. So still, there are a few questions needs to be answered, and this is my last slide, finally. There are a lot of questions I don't know the answer, but definitely I want to know the answer, just like you. And I'm done here. Please, if you have any questions, go ahead. If I have time, no? I'm around anyway, if you have any questions. Yeah, please.
We are running out of time, so that is why I'm sorry for that. Yeah.